Yeah. Oh, spoilers. Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to watch it, then don't. I mean, come back in like 20 minutes or whatever. But oh, what a good movie. I remember when we first got to the end of the Ringed City DLC just before you fight Gale, and there was the lady with like the cracked egg. That immediately the first thing I thought of was Angel's Egg, and apparently there is some sort of connection in a way, so I'm excited to see how he puts this together. So let's check it out. It keeps doing that. I don't know why.
At World's End, a young woman clutches an egg, fully devoted to protecting whatever's inside. Alas, she's approached by a warrior who crushes the egg, shattering all of the illusions that it represented. I could just as easily be talking about Dark Souls 3 with that statement.
Yep.
Fact is, Miyazaki has a long-standing tradition of pulling quite heavily from other forms of media, and just like learning about Artorias from Guts, just like learning about Bloodborne from H.P. Lovecraft, I want Angel's Egg to teach us about Filianore, and I will answer the following questions. 1. What does the egg represent? And 2. How does Filianore have the power to forestall the end of the world? And make no mistake, that's exactly what she's doing. These questions aren't really touched upon in the game at all, not in any descriptions, and you'd think that they would be. But Angel's Egg, this animated movie made by Mamoru Oshii in 1985, succinctly answers both of these questions, and the answer is faith. A young girl wanders an abandoned city, filling glass urns with water. She knows not why she does this, yet she does it all the same. And in much the same way she carries and protects this large egg, holding it closely throughout the movie. And long story short, you should watch the movie if you're interested. One of the very few pieces of dialogue in this movie talks about a bird that represents life outside of this world, and the girl believes that the bird now resides inside of the egg.
その卵の中には何が入ってるのかな。
そんなこと教えられないわ。だって私、あなたを知らないもの。
卵は割ってみなければ、その中に何が入っているのかわからないものだ。
This character, the warrior, wishes to break the egg and know one way or another what's inside, but the girl believes it will hatch. And the point I want to make is this: blind faith offers this great deal of power, because believing something will hatch from the egg, many would say, is better than knowing one way or another, for there may well be nothing inside the egg, or whatever's inside might have already died. So, compared to the grim, skeptical warrior, the girl is comforted by her faith, and she moves with purpose. She's protected by faith.
何か聞こえるかい？
小さな息をする音。
それは君の胸の音だよ。
羽の音も。きっと空を飛ぶ夢を見てるのね。
それは外の風の音だよ。
The end result of analyzing Angel's Egg in this way is that we can now reliably ascribe faith to Filianore's character. And that's very important because in Dark Souls, faith has a remarkable amount of power. I mean, think about it. When you learn a miracle in this game, what you're actually doing from a lore perspective is learning how to recite the words of a famous miracle, the mere act of which can heal wounds, emit force, cast lightning, and many other things.
Miracles began as tales told by gods, passed down through us since the first flame. Isn't it extraordinary to think they've existed since the very origins of the world?
Furthermore, true faith is blind. That much is obvious, and it's at the very core.
Oh yeah, well, she was blind as hell. Braille book. Yeah, that's neat. So I remember in the lore of Dark Souls, originally everything was stone, and then there was flame. Do you think that the first flame... I don't know anywhere near as much about the Dark Souls lore as I do like Elden Ring at this point. Do you think that that would be considered like the first miracle? That's kind of what I think. The first flame was probably the first miracle. Oh, Bridget. So sad. That is sad. Oh no. Yeah, Dark Souls is definitely worth playing if you ever have time for it, Akira. It's so good. I still need to play Dark Souls 1 and 2 though. I've only played Dark Souls 3. So I was told that I was totally able to without needing to play the first two. And God, Dark Souls 3 was so good. What is it, Bing? But yeah, that sentence that she just said makes me think that maybe the first flame was the first true miracle. Maybe not.
Or of faith. But in Dark Souls 3 it takes that a little bit further, because not only do miracles require faith, it just so happens that being blind enhances their power. Remember, all tomes in Dark Souls 3 are actually in Braille, which is language of physical bumps for the blind to be able to read. A practice in Dark Souls 3 that is informed from the tradition of placing, and I quote, great faith in the words of the blind. So not only is Filianore a blind woman of faith, she's also the daughter of Gwyn, and she doesn't need to recite no simple miracle. It's likely that she is the miracle. This legendary character, a direct descendant of what could only be called a god, is something you tell tales about. So, she has power, we know that much, but what is this power being put towards? I think there is only really one possible answer, which is this. Filianore prevents time from passing. We know this because disturbing her doesn't just dispel a simple illusion, it actually brings us forward in time to the Ringed City, which has fallen to ash, to Gale with his rusted and broken weapons in hand, to the Pygmy Lords, the blood of the Dark Soul dried in their veins, and back to Filianore, dead and withered, perhaps at the moment where her faith or her power finally gave out. So we've done our best to establish the power by which Filianore holds back time.
Oof.
But what is she manipulating? What does she have control over with this power? Well, it's possible that she's manipulating light, because light equals time. According to the repair sorcery, which assumedly uses light to reverse time upon your weapons, the foundations of this spell are a well-guarded secret, for light is time, and the reversal of its effects is a forbidden art. If Filianore is indeed manipulating light to keep the Ringed City locked in time, then you can kind of understand why this magic would be both forbidden and a well-guarded secret.
Yeah.
The gods would not want this power nor this secret being used elsewhere. Light sorceries like Repair, which we just mentioned, hail from the lost land of Ulasil, which must have existed when the Ringed City was still in its prime, because the two cities are connected by two characters who appear to have moved from one to the other. Two characters, Half-Light and Manus. Let's talk about Half-Light. A missionary is someone who is sent on a religious mission, and Half-Light was one such missionary sent from an ancient land of sorcery, which was obviously Ulasil. But he elected to stay behind in the Ringed City, becoming the last recorded Spear of the Church. So, this must have been before the two cities encountered hardship, and the two cities, when we visit them anyway, definitely are overrun. As for the second character linking the two places together, I want to convince you that Manus is at least a pygmy, and potentially even the furtive pygmy, maybe from the Ringed City.
Sneaky.
The Locust says this.
One met the dark with learning, but in the end learned his knowledge was wanting.
These frickin' guys pushing me off the side of the... That was one of the funniest things that's happened to me in a game. Just walking and all of a sudden, boom! Just knocked off the side.
World began without knowledge, and without knowledge will it end.
and according to the white birch bow description, before its description was changed in a patch, it used to read, "The bow is a relic from the land of an old sorcerer who was swallowed by the abyss, and known for his role in the heroic tale of the Abyss Walker."
Oh,
the
cool.
only possible character known for his role in the tale of the Abyss Walker who could possibly be an old sorcerer is Manus, which lines up with the fact that his weapon is indeed a catalyst. Thus, Manus, who is called Primeval Man by Karth, is three things at once. Manus
My intrusive thoughts tell me to lie down in that.
is he who met the dark with knowledge when the world began. Manus is an old sorcerer who was swallowed by the abyss. And Manus, most importantly, is Primeval Man, also known as a Pygmy Lord. There's a story here, but we can only imagine it. It's a story of how a Pygmy Lord left the Ringed City and settled in Ulasil, and eventually spread his abyss to the outside world. I'm going to quickfire a few other curiosities that I've found, and you can follow these up in the description. First, Ludleth may actually be a pygmy in the literal sense. This may well be something that the Japanese community has known for a long time, because the line, "I may be small, but I will die a colossus," more literally translates to, in Japanese, "Even this pygmy here was honored to become a lord."
Oh, okay.
This raises interesting implications
sense.
when you consider that Ludleth was exiled for the forbidden art of soul transposition, and consider also that Filianore's vagrant-like shell clearly contains a transposing kiln in the design works concept art.
Oh!
So could the Ringed City, in fact, be Corland, and was Ludleth exiled from there? Reddit user Wespy has a great little thread that goes into more detail. And in a point raised by
I like how he's not even resting his arms on anything. He's just chilling. I need to play Dark Souls 2, because I don't know what you're talking about. Spoiling stuff, Bridges!
Archie, who's one of our new resident translators, Ludleth, being a pygmy around since the very dawn of the world, certainly explains how he would have knowledge of the first Firekeeper, whoever she might have been. Because the eyes that we find in the untended graves
I don't want to know
are
anything.
the eyes of the first
So
Firekeeper,
shut up.
and Ludleth has dialogue about them, saying that they reveal a frightful betrayal, and that they reveal a light that was lost by all Firekeepers to come after this Firekeeper. I've read that some have put forward that Filianore was the first Firekeeper.
She's got some crazy
and
lashes.
I can see that. She is blind, she's presumably missing eyes, and like a Firekeeper, she holds a darkness within her, because darkness seeps from where her eyes should be, and if Ludleth is indeed from here, then he should know of her, so that lines up pretty well.
Oh.
But all that said, I'm not completely convinced about that. I mean, the eyes are found on the corpse of another Firekeeper,
Oh.
and while I suppose that they could be passed down from Filianore, should Filianore's eyes really reveal such a generic ending of the fire? The world we see in Filianore's future is more of an end of the world, not just the end of light. So, as you might have gathered,
kinda
souls
sad.
may well be over, but we're not done here. Also, before I go, I'm probably going to be in Japan by the time you see this video, which is amazing. So I'm actually going to do a little travel blog, or at least try
cool.
to, about everywhere I've been, all the food I've eaten and all that sort of thing. So if you're interested into more of a window into my life, which I know is pretty sparse on this channel, then I'm just going to do this for patrons. So if you want to consider becoming one of them, you'd be doing that on behalf of everyone who watches my videos, and you get to see a little bit of what I'm going to be doing in Japan.
That's
if that's
kinda cool.
interesting to you, it'll give me something to do while the other side of my mind is like crying that I'm not making videos, and yeah, I kind of need to be creating something to make that anxiety go away.
Fair enough.
But thank you regardless, and thank you for watching, and thank you for being the 1% listening at the end of the video, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, you hear that, guys? I'm part of the 1%. Hell yeah. Bonk. Boom. Nice. Yeah, I thought that was great. Man, Angel's Egg was such a good movie. It's cool to see the parallels there. I wonder what else Miyazaki's pulled from. Maybe 1% by proxy. Yeah. I wonder what else he's pulled from. I wonder if Miyazaki will pull from Miyazaki. Hayao Miyazaki, that is. Oh, man. I could rewatch the Ghibli movies over and over and over and over again and never get sick of them. I swear.